when I was helping harvest potatoes out in the countryside. And it started to rain, I was all dirty, and we were trying to hurry up because the rain was coming, and it was coming fast. So there I am in Latvia, throwing bags of potatoes onto the back of a tractor and laughing my ass off during that whole little situation. It's such a simple moment, but one of those moments that make me say, yup, Latvia is awesome. And afterwards, I had a cold beer and a sauna session. It simply doesn't get any better than that. Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Roger Rojas, and today we will cover the top 5 questions I kept getting asked during my campaign in Latvia. So let's get into it. Question number 1, where is Riga, Latvia? Latvia is located in Eastern Europe, is part of the European Union, NATO, which is something to mention these days, and one of the 3 Baltic countries. The other 2 are Estonia and Lithuania. Latvia is sandwiched between multiple countries, so it shares its borders with the 2 other Baltic states already mentioned, and Russia and Belarus. The capital city of Riga is located on the Gulf of Riga and was founded in 1201. The Daugava River runs through it, and it gives it a very picturesque touch. The leading airline in Latvia is Air Baltic. As the name implies, their primary operation lies within the Baltic countries and surrounding areas. This is an excellent option if you want to bounce around Eastern Europe quickly and without breaking the bank. With that said, however, a project in development called Rail Baltica will facilitate travel within the Baltic region and make backpacking in that area of Europe a much more seamless process. It is said to be completed in 2026, and as soon as it is, we're going on a little backpacking adventure, ladies and gentlemen. Question number 2. What is Riga, Latvia known for? When I first started researching Riga and planning my trip, what stood out to me the most was their old town and the Art Nouveau architecture. Now, the old town is fantastic and delivers 100%. It is small enough to quickly make your way through it if time is limited. Still, if you dig a bit deeper and take your time with it, it has so much going on that you can spend hours visiting cafes, bars, restaurants, or simply walking down various cobblestone streets. Old Town, just like Riga as a whole, is a perfect size. Not too big, but not too small. Regarding architecture, and if you are a fan, then yeah, it's an attraction worth seeing. I'm not the biggest architecture fan, but what I am a fan of, and one of the main reasons Riga is one of my favorite destinations in all of Europe, is its parks. I love spending time at parks when traveling, and Riga has many of them. However, there is one in particular that is simply on another level. Therefore, I have to mention Bastejkalna Parks to everyone I talk to about Riga. It's a mouthful. It's beautiful, and if you want to see one of the most picturesque parks in all of Europe, visit Riga in the summertime. Traveler tip number 1, grab some food for takeaway. I recommend an Asian restaurant called Walk to Walk. Find a nice bench in the park and enjoy the afternoon and beauty around you. Question number 3, is Riga, Latvia expensive? Based on the Statistical Office of the European Union, known as Eurostat, the following resource can help us get a better understanding of where Latvia lands on the spectrum of cost. In 2020, price levels for consumer goods and services differed widely across Europe. The highest price level among EU member states was observed in Denmark, 40% above the EU average, while in Bulgaria, the price level was 45% below the EU average. I will leave the link to this article below if you want to dive a bit deeper into these numbers, but ultimately, this article presents the most recent analysis of price levels relative to the European average. In the graph provided, Latvia lands in the bottom half of the spectrum. But with stats out of the way, let me quickly touch on a few observations and things you should know regarding costs in Latvia based on my experiences. So take it with a grain of salt. As with any destination, there is a good amount of savings to be found when you stick to grocery shopping and cooking at home. However, in Latvia, I noticed a much wider margin than just about any other place I've visited when comparing the cost of going out to restaurants and bars versus shopping at grocery stores and cooking in your apartment. Regarding lodging, primarily Airbnb apartments, I feel it is on par with cities and countries that are much more popular and have many more things to see and do. However, the main issue with this is that they do not come with an air conditioner for this type of apartment and oftentimes are in old buildings with no lift or elevator. That might not sound like a big deal. It's cold, snowy Latvia after all. A Mexican in winter in Latvia. That's quite the combination there. Whew. But if visiting in summer, which is the best time to visit Latvia, temperatures can get extremely hot, like Los Angeles level type of hot. And nothing is worse than spending the day outdoors only to come home to a building where you have to walk up 6 flights of stairs and into an apartment that feels like a sauna. I've experienced it, and trust me when I tell you, it's not fun. And so, if you are visiting in summer, I highly recommend you rent a place with an air conditioner. Unfortunately, if you do, you start to see the price for those apartments rise because it is only the newer, more trendy looking apartments with those amenities built into them. Also, because there aren't that many people with these types of apartments willing to rent them out, there is a limited selection to choose from, which then causes the prices to go even higher. If you look hard enough and you're lucky enough, you will find a perfect spot at an ideal rate. Still, you will be paying a premium when renting an apartment more often than not, which could still be worth it depending on where in the city you stay, which I will get into in the next segment. Question number 4. Is Riga, Latvia worth visiting? As anyone who has been following my channel knows, the answer is a solid hell yes.
Give me a hell yeah!
I've spent about a year in Latvia and I plan on going back. The bars, cafes, restaurants, parks, craft beer scene are all top notch. And the element that unites it all is the Latvian people and their culture. For me, the top experience had to be when I was helping harvest potatoes out in the countryside. And it started to rain, I was all dirty, and we were trying to hurry up because the rain was coming and it was coming fast. So there I am in Latvia, throwing bags of potatoes onto the back of a tractor and laughing my ass off during that whole little situation. It's such a simple moment, but one of those moments that make me say, yup, Latvia is awesome. And afterwards, I had a cold beer and a sauna session. It simply doesn't get any better than that. But back in Riga, I already mentioned the Daugava River that cuts through the city, and if you're on a budget but still want to have an invigorating experience, a simple walk or bike ride down the river is incredible because it's so easy to get there. One moment you're in Old Town or the city center, and the next you're watching the sunset. To me, and this is a bold statement, Riga has similar vibes to that of Paris on a much smaller scale. And what I mean by that is that I love Paris, and every time I visit, I'm inspired to read, write, engage in photography and the arts on a higher level. However, the downside is that Paris is just so dang big, a little bit too big for my liking, and of course, very expensive. And so Riga, Latvia hits the sweet spot for me, and it may do the same for you. Travel tip number 2. For all my English speakers out there, if you're looking for a spot to call your own or want to feel a bit more at ease when you first arrive, make sure to visit an English used bookstore called Robert's Books. Again, I'm not saying it's like the bookstore Shakespeare and Company that you will find in Paris, where in the 1920s you had Hemingway, Fitzgerald, and Ezra Pound hanging about, but there is a unique charm to be found at Robert's Books that you might really vibe with, especially when they have live events such as concerts and author interviews. Now, where to stay in the city is very important. Although it is a small-ish city, you can quickly find yourself exhausted from all the walking you will be doing. So my recommendation is to stay somewhere in the city center, but as close as possible to Old Town and the central train station. But not too close, like every other city's main train station. It becomes very active, loud, and chaotic. But you still want to be close enough to it because this is the area where the central market is located and a plethora of retail stores that will make your stay that much better. Additionally, you'll have the ability to quickly hop on a train or bus to Sigulda, Cesis, and Jurmala, which are the top 3 other cities I recommend you visit when in Latvia. I've made a video of an apartment tour in which you might want to stay at. It's a great option, minus, which is a big minus, the fact that it does not have a stove or an air conditioner, which might be a deal breaker for you. But give it a look and let me know what you think. In regards to how many days you should stay, I've answered this many times on this channel, and it always fluctuates based on the topic that I'm discussing. But if you have plenty of time, enjoy Eastern Europe more than Western Europe, I would say a minimum of 1 week. Question number 5, is Riga, Latvia safe? Yes, I didn't have a single moment where I didn't feel safe during my time there. But of course, you always have to be alert no matter where you are. Still, I have nothing negative to say about Riga in that regard. On the contrary, after being in Riga for 6 months, I got so used to the public transportation that I was shocked when I got on the metro in Los Angeles. If you want to talk about feeling unsafe, just ride the Los Angeles metro system. Holy sh**. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the top 5 questions I kept getting asked during my time in Latvia. If you have any further questions or comments, please feel free to type them down below. And if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something or found it entertaining, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Any show of support is greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.